There we go. That might work a little bit better. I do that all the time, especially when I'm talking to friends on Discord. In the last video, we finished up with the vectors library. Learned quite a bit about it, how to use some of the stuff we've learned in the tutorials to access and change things in vectors. Learned that vectors are a lot like arrays. The difference is a vector you can add to and remove, plus change things out. Where an array, it is preset as far as how many elements are in it, so you can't add to it. The only thing you do is change out the elements itself. One thing we did learn about vector was that when you declare a type, it can't be changed. So if you have something else you need for data, then you're gonna have to create a new vector with a new type if it's a new type or new kind or whatever. But yes, we learned quite a bit about vectors. Now we're going to jump into lists. If you like the videos, hit the like button. Um, Comments are open for challenges, questions, comments, corrections to stuff that I say, because I'm not actually educating. I'm sharing my journey, maybe a little bit of inspiring and involved. I don't know, but they're there for that. So on the right side, we have W3 Schools. On the left side, we have VS Code, text editor on the left, educational source on the right. W3 Schools does have additional things if you want to upgrade and support the website. You're welcome to do that. Um, but this right here is actually free for what I'm using, which is really nice, and I appreciate it very much. Let's get started on this. So C++ lists. A list is similar to a vector in that it can store multiple elements of the same type and dynamically grow in size. However, two major differences between lists and vectors are: you can add and remove elements from both the beginning and at the end of a list, where vectors are generally optimized for adding and removing at the end. I was curious about that because in our previous code, we were using this line of code right here to subtract a car, and it looked like it was subtracting the very last car in the list. And I was curious if it was possible to subtract a specific car. So apparently that from this information right here, it is not. We'll find out how accurate that is, because if you have a list of cars on a car lot and you sell one, it may not be the last car. So how would you remove that car from your data list? Well, I guess the list is a better thing to use for something like that in this instance. So another point, unlike vectors, a list does not support random access, meaning you cannot directly jump to a specific index or access elements by index numbers. So with a list, you cannot determine or access, I guess. So this up here and stuff where we have first element index 0, second element index 1. Apparently with the list you cannot do that. You cannot access the second element with index 1, according to what this is saying. But let's get into this and see what's going on here. To use a list, you have to include the list library. So it's giving us a example of that right there. So let's go ahead and clear out all this code right here. Clear everything out, clear up to here. So we're getting back to some simple stuff. Remove the vectors library because I don't think we're going to need that for this. In fact, I think we're going to need the include, like the example shows. The list library. Okay, so we got that in there. Go ahead and save that. Create a list. To create a list, use the list keyword and specify the type of value it should store within angle brackets, just like a vector it looks like. And then name the list like so forth. So we have the syntax right here for it. So it'd be list, angle brackets, type, angle brackets, list name. Okay, so to create a list, so let's go and create our first list here. Got a comment, create a list called cars that will store strings. Hold on. All right, I had to pause the video for an interruption. Just so you all know, yeah, I don't edit my videos, so what you see is what really happens. I don't go through the videos and adjust things or change things or whatever and stuff to make the videos shorter or correct things or whatnot. I leave that for other people to put in the comments or whatnot. So, anyways, so we're getting ready to create our first list here. Actually, enter. So create our first list. So it'd be list standard. Actually, I think it's going to be standard list. Standard list because I keep forgetting that they are using namespace at the top. So where I am not. And did I know that prior to this? No, I did not. I did not know that prior to this. It was kind of an assumption I was making, and after I typed that list and it didn't turn green, I realized I probably need standard in there. So again, with any of this stuff, either one, you need to add in this right here for anything that's standard, so list, string, output, input, so forth and so on, or you have to put in using namespace standard. Oops, that right there. So you either have to have this up the top or this, but since I'm using it down here, I do not need this. It's up to you on how you do it, but if you use list or string as a variable name, it may get a little bit confusing. So that's why I do this right here, which was advice I was given when I was watching other videos or whatnot. So anyways, moving on. So now we have our list created. We don't have anything in the list, but we have it created and declared. If you want to add elements at the time of declaration, place them in a comma separated list inside of curly brackets. So something that I learned in my other sources that this is never actually said anything about. Now I'm going to type this down here in comments. We have multiple ways so far of giving a variable a value. Either one with parentheses, two with the assignment operator, three with curly brackets, and I believe there is other ways too, but we've seen these, but we don't know what the difference is. I in my other sources and stuff, it kind of goes through what these are. So the curly brackets are for a list of items. You can use them anywhere you want, but yes, if you need something a specific variable, like in this case cars, to be representing any number of elements, you would use curly brackets because that allows you to create a list of things which cars can have multiple values. If you only have one value, then you can use either parentheses or assignment operator. The difference is parentheses is actually not a copy of, if I'm not mistaken. It is actually an actual value, and there is a difference. The assignment operator, I believe, is a copy, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. We'll get into that when we get to my other source and stuff because that kind of gives a better description of what these three operators do, even though they do the same thing on the top or on the surface of what it looks like it's doing. They're actually doing something different underneath. Again, we'll get into that when we get into my other source because I discovered that in my other source. Moving on. So yeah, to create a list, use the curly brackets. So it's got an example right here. So we're going to create a list now with this space. I'm going to put some space in between here. So We got the assignment operator for the list. And yes, you can mix and match them apparently right here. But I am actually not going to create the list right there. I'm going to do it just like I did before. Curly brackets, just in case I want to add to the list. Again, we're going to use some cars, for example. So Volvo, again, comma to separate them, just like you would before. I need to get rid of that. That's annoying. Let's see, BMW. Again, it's doing it. I really need to figure out how to get this right here to turn off. It's giving suggestions on it is what it's doing, but I'm not really ready for this. So this right here is just more of a nuisance. I mean, it's kind of in the way, so I can't see what's above it right there without having to move the cursor. But anyways, Ford is the next one. I'm not sure how to get rid of that right now, and I'm not going to be concerned with it. Mazda will be the last one, and then we're going to go down to, see, that's the irritating part, yes, because it has a list of 12 different things, and it goes through them all every time I up and down and key. And it won't actually go away until I actually get outside of the curly brackets. So, makes it hard to move up and down your lines of code with that in there. And like I said, I'm not sure how to remove that. It is useful in some sense, but not useful in other sense. Okay, so we got our list right here. Next we have another comment here, prints lists elements. Prints the list elements, yeah. Trying to say that right. I'm going to create another for loop here, doing the same thing as what we did with vectors and what we've done with arrays. Standard, string, car, cars, and then the curly brackets for this one, standard, output, car, new line. Save. So now the output should be the same thing. So that's 3 different types of data structures right there. Arrays, vectors, and lists. Data structures being a list of data that can be used for other things. And we are currently right now, we've already gone over the arrays, we've gone over the vectors, and then we've also gone over the differences between those two, and now we're covering the lists. So just like, yeah, depending on your code will determine what you need them for. We've saved this, let's run it. Now we should get 4 different ones, Volvo, BMW, Ford, just like our list shows. Moving on, note the type of the list string in our example cannot be changed. So just like with vector and array, I believe as well, the type, once it's set with the values or with the elements, it cannot be changed. So this right here cannot be changed. If we need something else, the only place I'm thinking where that may be a thing is instead of naming this cars, I would say car brand, car model, uh, etc., etc. And then if you needed to do integer types or Boolean types or double types would be your other strings, vectors, or arrays. All right, so um, next part is accessing list. You can access list elements by referring to the index number like the array and vectors. However, to access the front and last elements, dot forward and back functions respectively. So it just said up here, Unlike vectors, a list does not support random access. Random access. Okay, so you can't specifically access a specific element, but you can access the front and rear. So random access is not possible, but front and rear, yes. I imagine you might be able to do something with this right here to adjust for that, but all right, we got our for loop right there. We don't really need the for loop for what we're getting ready to do, so we're going to go ahead and remove it. But yes, we've printed off all the cards we have using the same for loop that we've used in vectors. In this case, though, I'm going to change this to uh, get the first element, the code for that, just like we used in vector. Um, and if you wanted to make this simpler, I mean, we don't really necessarily need 2 lines of code for this. We can simply do this right here. Again, part of what I'm really learning. So cars dot back. Oops, still typed it wrong. And then first, and I'm gonna just add in on this comment instead of writing the next line of code, because there's no point in writing 2 lines of code to do pretty much the same thing. Instead, just condense it down to 1 line. So first and last elements. Save this and run this. So yes, we got Mazda, or Volvo and Mazda. So yes, we took 2 lines of code that the example showed us. We basically just turned it into 1 line of code. If you wanted to, instead of putting a space in between them, you can put a new line in between them as well. Save it, run it, and now you got both of them on 2 different lines. So yes, I am learning this stuff. Yay me. Uh, I feel like I'm accomplishing more on a daily basis, which is nice, as long as I understand what I'm doing. Change a list element. You can also change the value of the first and last element with the front and back. Since you can't randomly access a specific element, I assume you can't change the. Sorry. I assume you can't change a specific element out, but just like with this right here. So if we wanted to change it, we can simply do this. So we don't want Volvo first, we want Mazda first. So we got a comment here, change. I know that they have something already set in here, but I am getting kind of creative and questioning some of the stuff. So I am working on learning how to do it myself instead of going through the examples. So instead of cars first for the front, Mazda for the rear car, we're going to change it to the first car by setting it to the front car is going to be Mazda. And then we have another comment here for the second one, change the value of the last element. Cars dot back, right? Yeah. Parentheses. Set that one to Volvo. So we haven't really changed it out with a different one. We just decided we were going to move the Mazda to the front and the Volvo to the back. So now that when we run this, we're going to get Mazda printed up first and Volvo printed up last. Where before, we comment this out and this one out, save it, run it again, we got Volvo first and Mazda last. Um, Now, what was the benefits, the difference? So with a list, you can add and remove elements from both the beginning and the end. Where with uh, I think you could probably do that same thing with vectors if you use this properly. While vectors are generally optimized for adding and removing at the end. Okay, if you use this same feature right here, I imagine you can probably do the same thing with vectors. But I mean, you wouldn't really need to because you could just use the at and whatever location it is and change it. But I mean, so we're getting some. Uh, uh, how are lists even better? Front and back, where while vectors are generally optimized for adding and removing at the end, while vectors, a list does not support random access, meaning you cannot directly jump to a specific. Okay, so I'm not seeing list being a great thing. List, let's see here. List may be a part of the old C code. I think vectors was a part of, no, but it didn't say. Yeah, maybe we'll see some improvements right here somewhere. I'm not sure. So we've changed it. Now we can add to it as well, just the same way as you did with vectors. We're gonna go ahead and just write this code in down here. So um, add an element. Let's see, add an element at the beginning with cars dot push front and set that to Tesla. And then down here, another comment, add an element at the end. And we're going to add cars dot push back parentheses VW. So even though we changed the position of Ford or Volvo and Mazda, we changed those positions right there. Now we're going to add a car to the front and a car to the back. But with our code right here, how is this going to affect it? So we got the front and back. Let's go ahead and save this and see what this prints up, because if we're changing the front car to Mazda first, and then we're adding Tesla to it. So even though Mazda's going to be up here, Tesla's going to be ahead of Mazda. So I may recreate that for loop and stuff and see what our order is after I do this. So now we got Tesla and Volvo. So let's see what our order is now and see what we have here. Let's so the for loop, standard string car uh, cars standard output cars a car and with a space in between them all. And let's see what our list actually looks like now. It didn't give us a space in between Volvo and Tesla though. Why not? Why didn't it give us a space between Volvo and Tesla? Ah, I know why. Well, it should have put those on different lines though. So the first thing we have printing out is the first and back last car, but those should be on a new line. The back car has two, that's why. So the front car is Tesla. the back got switched with this code right here. So Volvo got moved to the back. The back car is now Volvo, but then we're also adding BMW there. So if we create a space right here, I bet that kind of separates it a little bit. In the code. Nope, it didn't. I added to the wrong one. VW space. Save, run. Okay. So now it does that. So let's clear this out, run it again so we can see it cleanly. So now the, actually we're going to go ahead and change this right here so it doesn't do that anymore. The reason it's doing it is because it's printing up this without a space afterwards. So we need to also add a space. Instead of a new line right there, we need to add its, so what was happening here, since I was creating a new line here, the front car was getting printed first, and then we were adding a new line, and then the back car was getting printed, but we didn't have a space or a new line or anything like that after the front and back car got printed. So when it started doing this for loop right here, the front car would get printed right next to the back car. So now we got a space in between the front and back car. We need to also add in a new line. That way when it goes through the loop, it has a front and back car and then a loop. So clearing this out, run this. The front and back car, just like it shows in the list. And now we got 5 cars in the list altogether. So this right here is perfectly fine. We don't even need this space in here anymore. Run this again after we saved it. Okay. So we didn't need that space in there. It was the idea of spacing it out right here in the outputs properly. So as you can see, we got the entire list right here, and the first thing is printing up is the first and back car. But the way we have it set up is the front car is now Mazda, which is this car right here, but then we added another car, which is Tesla. So now Tesla becomes the first car. So that's how I can definitely see you using the front, the push back, the back, the push back to manipulate the list right here a little bit, because that's actually what I'm doing. I am first off changing the back car to the front car, and then I'm adding another front car, which if I switch those around and added the front car, then I'd be switching Mazda. That can get quite confusing right there. I just created some quite confusing stuff right there. Um, in fact, just to make this look a little bit cleaner, we're going to get rid of these comments right here because we don't need them. And then we're going to, at the same time, shrink this up a little bit. Okay. Just go ahead and get rid of this line of this comment here too as well. Okay. And then we'll shrink down this right here. All right. So we got our list. We are moving the Mazda car to the front, the Volvo to the back, but we can't do it that way. We got to go through it the same way the compiler would do it. So the front car is going to be Mazda, which is right there. Then we're going to add another car. So Tesla goes first, then Mazda, then BMW, then Ford. Then the back car is going to be Volvo. Then we're going to add another car to the back, which is going to be BMW. So the only 2 cars that are staying in the same place is BMW and Ford. But if what we wanted to move those to a different spot and then add them and then change them back, you could use this right here line of code to manipulate any car in this list. Just by simply changing whatever car you want from the front and the back. So can we move, but we're just moving the outside cars. So how can we move the inside cars? We're adding one. We're switching the position of the last one prior to that. So let's see if I can rearrange this order so it goes in alphabetical order. So I'm going to get rid of all this right here. Alphabetical order. So the first car needs to be BMW. So cars dot front would need to be BMW. Um, let's start with that right there and see what happens there with that. So it goes BMW. So Volvo got removed completely. And BMW stayed in the same spot as it was before. That would take some creative thinking right there. I bet you can use that to change it around. Can't randomly access one or the other. But I bet if we were able to remove Volvo, BMW would come first. So we got the add to list, remove from list. So yes, I bet you can, yes. Let's get through the rest of this, and if you can get really creative with this, you can rearrange this order and stuff properly to remove Volvo first, then remove BMW second. It's going to require a few lines of code. But yes, remove Volvo first, remove BMW first, add BMW to the front of the list. Volvo would go to the back of the list. Ford would go second, and then Mazda would go third. So, yes, you can. You wouldn't be randomly accessing them, but if you use the right code, then yes, you can switch the order of the cars using cars front, cars back, push forward. Um, and then the pop, because it looks like the pop is going to be the same thing. So remove elements list. So you're going to use the pop front, pop back to remove the front car. So in this case, it would be remove the front car with pop dot front, and we're going to remove this right here. That would put BMW first. Ford, Mazda, and then Volvo would be last. Yeah, there's no dot right there. It needs to be an underscore, sorry. So we are rearranging it so it's in alphabetical order. So we're moving the front car, and then cars dot front, no, sorry, back, parentheses, assign uh, Volvo, save, run. We're missing one. We're missing Mazda because we replaced it. So um, we replaced that one right there. We changed out the last car. Add to the list by push forward. So yeah, it's not back. The back car should not be changed. It should be, we add to. So dot push back. Um, this right here needs to be gone. And in the parentheses here, we're going to have the Volvo. Clear the terminal out, and that should do it. I should put all 4 cars in alphabetical order. Yep, BMW first, Volvo last. BMW, Ford, Mazda, Volvo. So I put Volvo at the back, BMW at the front, and now they're in alphabetical order on my list. So yes, we can't random access it, but if you can use the pop forward, pop back, push forward, push back, dot forward, dot back, you can rearrange your list. It would be a lot easier to do it in a vector or an array, but with a list, you can continue adding cars to the front or the back and keep them in alphabetical order that way. With a array, you can't add more vehicles. With a vector, you can add more vehicles, and you can do pretty much what I just did, probably a little easier though. So, moving on, then we also have um, list size, which is pretty much going to be the same way as it was with vector. I'll put it down here. I'll keep the for loop going. So output cars dot size parentheses, run it, and it's going to give us the first car, the back car. Actually, I need a new line in there, don't I? Clear that out. There we go. First car, back car. There's 4 cars in our total. That's the list of them right there. All right, this is getting easier and interesting. Check if a list is empty, just the same way. So we got the list right there. Before we actually create the list, oops, sorry, that's right there, that right there. Before we actually check if the list is empty, let's go ahead and put the standard output, uh, standard full alpha. Something I forgot there, that right there. Then in that, and then standard output cars dot empty. Save, run the program. Yeah, we need a new line after this right here. I did it again. Actually, we're not going to put a new line in there. We're just going to put a space in there. Save, run it. Okay, clear this out so it looks a little cleaner now. First and back car, is the list empty? No, there's 4 cars in the list. And yes, you could put that that text, that message in there too as well. Just like this right here. So, in fact, yes. Oops. First car in the list. After that, oops. Let's go ahead and put this on a new line here. And then a space. We don't actually need this space anymore right here. Last car in the list. Clear this out real quick. Okay, last car right there. And then right here, let's put is the list empty? And then get rid of this right here. Is the list empty? That'll give us our answer. Space, if not, how many cars are in the list? Let's go ahead and move this down to the next line as well. And then this down to the next line. Cars dot size. After that, a new line. And then we can get rid of all of this right here. Actually, not even that. I'm going to make another change to here. So, um, what cars are in the list? And then a new line. Actually, no, just a space right there. No, a new line. All right. Now, I've created a complete program right here. The first thing we're doing is rearranging our cars in alphabetical order using this right here. We got a list right here, string cars. I'm rearranging it for an alphabetical order. And then I have some outputs right here. First and last car in the list. Second, I got a Boolean alpha right there to indicate whether the list is empty. So is the list empty, and it's going to list off true or false. And then after that, if not, how many cars are in the list, then it's going to give me a size of the list. So yes, this is going to be completely user-friendly. So we need some more space in between there. So let's see here. Let's go with, to make this a little cleaner. No, it won't be there. It'll be right here. New line right there. Um, and then so that way there's space in between there. And then after the BMW, after this right here, that needs to be a new line. So we will create a new line right there. Except for I don't think it'll work like that. I don't see why not. Why won't it work like that? It should. Yeah. No, it won't. Ah, that's what I'm missing. I knew it would. So, let's run this and see what this looks like. New line after that, new line after that. Is the list empty, false? Is the list empty, false? New line after that. Let's go ahead and save it right there, run it, and see what we get now. Okay, let's go ahead and add a new line after Volvo. So after the last car on the list, after Volvo, let's add a second new line, so some space in between there. And then how many, if not, we don't need that right there because we got that new line right there. 4, so that right there. You see how I'm adjusting it? I run the code once, I adjust it, I run it again. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much all of this, yes, because it's got the loop through. So I'm just finishing this up real quick, just to get a little creative with it. You're welcome to do something like this if you want as well. Okay, so we can't actually have it set like that. We probably have to have that in double quotes. New line, new line. Save, run. Okay, clear out the terminal, run it one more time. Got a new line right there. Is the list empty? No. If not, how many cars are in the list? 4. We want a new line, a couple of new lines after that as well. Run it again. First car on the list, BMW. Last car on the list, Volvo. Is the list empty? No. False. If not, how many cars are in the list? 4. Uh, we don't need this space in here anymore. What cards are in the list, and then that right there, and then at this right here point we need another output right here. This one's going to be simple because it's just going to be a new line. Clear that, run it one more time. That should look pretty good. So, first card, second card in the list. Is the list empty, false? Then we got the list right here. Why didn't that outprint? Why did it give me a new line? We need 2 new lines there. That's why. It was redundancy. There we go. One more time. Should have it now. So we got the first right here part, the second right here part, and the third right here part, all separated with spaces in between them. What are the cars in the list? BMW, Ford, Volvo, all in alphabetical order. So, yeah, get creative with this. If you want them in reverse order, try to work on making it reverse order. You can use vectors to do kind of the same thing and stuff. Write all this code if you want. Make you a huge list of cars, um, so forth, so on. Anyways, I think that'll be it for this video right here. The next video we come to will deal with stacks, whatever stacks are. But yes, again, if you like this video, if you want to challenge yourself like this, like I'm doing right here, and yes, I do that all the time. I will run the code, see what it looks like, because I can't really keep it in my mind all the time what it looks like and where I need to put spaces or add new lines or etc. I run the code, I look at it, okay, I need to adjust this, I need to adjust that, I need to adjust this, sort of thing. And yes, sometimes I forget things and stuff, which is why we went through the whole section of errors debugging, sort of thing. Um, I'm pretty sure you could probably also put in something to where you can continuously ask for, is there a new car to put in the list and add it to the list, sort of thing, if you want to challenge yourself that way. Any way you want. Um, this is me discovering me using my creativity, my imagination to do some stuff that I understand with code. As you can see, it can get kind of clustered, but we had to put the Boolean alpha in there so we don't get the 0 or 1. We get the true or false statement for the is the list empty sort of thing. But yeah, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you have anything you want to add, comments, questions, whatnot, use those comments for that. Otherwise, this will be the end of the video, and I will pick up next video with stacks. Thank you, and have a good day.